Thank you, Sophie. Hello, I'm Jennifer Jones with the headlines in Wales. He crashed into a parked car after threatening a taxi driver with scissors and stealing his vehicle. Now Nicholas Daniel is sentenced to an indefinite period in a secure mental health unit.
All of a sudden, bam! We've run outside and there's police everywhere. I reckon if that car wasn't parked there, he'd probably be sitting in my waiting room for, in the taxi.
Also in tonight's programme, as competition for graduate jobs hits a record high, we're at a recruitment fair where students are urged to search for work closer to home.
We're hoping that maybe we'll see more opportunities come out of an event like this and they're actually advertised on these companies' websites because people have gone out there to make that connection in person.
It's been described as shocking news. This end-of-life care centre in Pembrokeshire will close next month due to severe financial pressures.
And there's big change ahead for Wales's only top-flight netball side. The Dragons are to start playing some of their home games 200 miles away from base in Liverpool.
Good evening. Noswaith chi. A man who threatened a taxi driver with scissors and stole his vehicle before crashing into a parked car has been sentenced to an indefinite period in a secure mental health unit. Swansea Crown Court heard how Nicholas Daniel drove the stolen cab at twice the speed limit before crashing in the Morriston area in July last year. An eyewitness has told us the scene was like something from a film. Sarah Davitt reports.
The scene of utter carnage on a busy street in Morriston, where a hijacked taxi crashed after being driven erratically through Swansea by Nicholas Daniel.
It all started outside this shop in Wenarlwydd, where Daniel had asked the driver to stop. He went in to buy alcohol before returning to the passenger seat. He then threatened the driver with a pair of scissors, telling him to leave the car and the keys.
The court heard how the yellow cab's driver didn't think that Daniel was serious until he held the scissors close to his stomach, saying, "I don't want to hurt you, you've got to get out." He then drove at speed for over 5 miles towards Morriston, at times at twice the speed limit, before eventually losing control of the car and crashing outside this barber shop, where Johnny Handford was working.
Something like a movie, I'd say. We're in there, cutting there, doing a nice little skin fade. We're having a normal day, and all of a sudden, bam! We've run outside and there's police everywhere. I reckon if that car wasn't parked there, he'd probably be sitting in my waiting room for, in the taxi.
Is that quite scary to think about?
Yeah, scary, yeah.
The court heard from psychiatrist Dr. Pradhan, who said that the 35-year-old was experiencing acute psychosis and hallucinations at the time of the robbery, and that he continues to suffer from schizophrenia. Appearing via video link from a mental health unit, Daniel was told by Judge Catherine Richards that he'll remain detained indefinitely in hospital, as a return to prison is likely to result in a relapse and risk to the public when released.
Sarah Davitt reporting there. Now, it's not what anyone wants to hear after spending years studying at university and racking up debt. But competition for graduate jobs is now at record levels. Recruitment experts have told us that students should now consider going for jobs that are closer to their homes in Wales, rather than just focusing on major companies elsewhere. And that's because many smaller local employers are still reporting skills shortages and struggling to fill roles. Beth Alla-Williams has the details.
That one there.
At this construction site in Caerphilly, graduates are busy at work, designing and building a renewable energy project.
They get mentorship with sort of trained employees who've been in the business for a while, so they get to sort of get that hands-on real-life experience on a site while gaining sort of the mentorship that they need to learn new skills from people who've been in the industry longer.
The jobs mean that they've been able to stay close to home and where they studied in South Wales.
This job, luckily, is 5 minutes from my house, so it was a blessing because previously I've worked all over the country. You can work on projects that you can relate to and come to work and feel proud, and you can say, I had something to do with that job right there.
For me, it's more being around my family and friends. After working away in university, I really wanted to come back home and stay within Caerphilly and also be able to build things at home and help the communities that I'm also a part of.
Data shared exclusively with the BBC by the Institute of Student Employers says that competition for graduate jobs has reached a record high, with 15% more applications being made over the last year. However, smaller employers are finding it difficult to attract graduates, leading to fears of skills shortages in some specialist sectors in Wales, like technology and construction. This is GradCon, a graduate jobs fair in Cardiff, a place where companies hope to connect with potential applicants. Owen James is the organiser.
We do see some smaller companies that maybe struggle with applications, not because the opportunities aren't good, but because they're just not as well known as an employer, and so maybe young people struggle to find those opportunities. Like Admiral, who are here today, Wales' only FTSE 100 company, so they get applications from across the UK. Some of the smaller organisations here who might actually still work in financial services actually really struggle to get people applying.
Despite the competitive nature of graduate job hunting, 11 million more graduate roles will need to be filled by 2035, particularly in growth sectors like the creative industries, business and technology. Careers Wales say that demand for workers here is highest within health, social care, business and energy sectors. So how do graduates get the best chance of finding a job?
I think authenticity for sure. Don't try to embellish too much. Focus more on, even if you did a small project at university, try and highlight that.
Probably stay coming to events like this because networking is absolutely crucial.
But it's all about trying to show young people that there are great opportunities for them locally in Wales.
The O2 were there.
After years of studying, looking locally for jobs means that this group of graduates are building on the foundations of their careers in the communities they were raised in.
To Pembrokeshire now, and the founder of a hospice in St David's has told us she's angry and disappointed that it will close at the end of the month. Shalom House, which offers end-of-life care, was opened by Margaret Burnett in 2007. The charity that runs it says it's closing because of financial difficulties. Well, let's get more now from Aled Schofield, who is in St David's for us this evening. Aled.
Thanks, Jen. Well, Shalom House's financial problems are long-standing, but this announcement is a concern for the city of St David's that lost its GP surgery last year, although ironically a branch surgery has been operating on a part-time basis from Shalom House. But the closure of this hospice that provides end-of-life care is seen as a further blow to health services here on the St David's Peninsula. Shalom House was opened as a 5-bed hospice in St David's in 2007 after years of fundraising by the people of Pembrokeshire. It was made possible by the generous donation of author Elizabeth de Guise, who left her home to create Shalom House, and by the efforts of her nurse and friend Margaret Burnett and fellow trustees who set it up.
It was set up because she wanted to go into a hospice, and Pembrokeshire does not have a hospice for respite. It's Hebrew. It means peace and well-being, which fits into palliative care.
But 18 years later, it's been confirmed Shalom House is to close. In a statement, the charity said, "It is with a heavy heart that we announce the closure of Shalom House Hospice in St David's, which has served the whole of Pembrokeshire for many years. Sadly, ongoing financial difficulties and a lack of sustainable funding mean we have no alternative but to close at the end of October." Margaret is no longer involved in the running of the hospice, but says she's devastated.
There is no way that Shalom will get back. I'm absolutely certain. I wish I could. I wish I could start again, very much so. But it's just awful. It is awful. Pembrokeshire was very lucky to have Elizabeth give her house. She'd be turning in her grave, to be honest.
The news is another blow to the city after St David's lost its doctor's surgery last year. The Dean of the Cathedral said she was concerned about the implications of the hospice's closure.
We have, of course, the ongoing debate on assisted dying, and it surely must not be the case that the underfunding of palliative care becomes a reason for people feeling they must prematurely end their lives whereas actually they could be cared for in a way that made them comfortable, have dignity and feel that they've still got quality of life in whatever it is that they're facing.
The closure was raised today in the Senedd by the local Conservative member.
It's going to have a huge knock-on effect on the NHS and on other services, and that's why it is absolutely crucial that we see the Welsh Government supporting these sort of facilities going forward. We should have had a clear strategy from the government years ago, and perhaps then Shalom House wouldn't be in this position.
In a statement, the Welsh Government said it recognised the vital role of hospices and it had increased funding during the Senedd term by £5.2 million a year, and there was an additional £9.5 million in cost of living grants to help hospices. It's hoping to standardise hospice commissioning across Wales to create a more sustainable financial model for the long term.
I asked Hywel Dda University Health Board whether there was a similar facility to Shalom House here in Pembrokeshire. They said end-of-life care was available on an inpatient basis at some community hospitals for some patients and in nursing homes. And the Paul Sartori Foundation provides hospice at home care where nursing care is provided in homes. But it seems this very unique type of care that was available here at Shalom House in St David's is ending.
OK, Aled, thank you very much. Aled Schofield there in St David's. Now, it's that time of year, isn't it? Flu season is on the horizon and younger people living with long-term health conditions are being urged to get a flu vaccine. Currently, just 27% of them are getting the jabs. Well, Public Health Wales says hundreds of people were hospitalised last winter with flu. And David Grundy has been to meet one woman who's having her flu jab for the very first time.
In Newport, Sophie, who's paralysed from the chest down after getting meningitis, is busy. She's currently going through the process of trying to get selected by the Paralympics GB archery team. But earlier this year, the 33-year-old got flu.
Just after New Year, I came down with what I just thought was a cold, but then it drastically turned into a flu, and it was like I was aching everywhere. But with my limited lung capacity, because I'm paralysed from the chest down, it was like I had to try and catch my breath to give a cough, because I can't cough that strong. So yeah, it was quite scary.
Her underlying health conditions mean she qualifies for the flu jab, and this year she's going to take up the offer.
I actually had my text yesterday saying, invite me for my jab.
So you're going for it?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I think it'll hopefully won't give me the flu, as if I do get the flu, I won't be as severe with it.
The flu vaccine's offered every winter to people over the age of 65, those with long-term health conditions, pregnant women and carers.
This vaccination centre was opened in April, but it's not in a hospital or at a GP surgery. It's in this shopping centre in Cwmbran.
Health and social care workers are among those who are also offered the jab. And Jasmine, who usually works in the emergency department, is encouraging other nurses to get the flu vaccine.
I'm a single mum. If I had the flu now, I would not be able to look after my child whatsoever. So it's important that I'm vaccinated, which is why I'm getting my vaccination today. It's important that I'm not taking any germs from work home to my son and my family, you know, the elderly, the vulnerable. And for staff as well, I think we've got to protect our families and our patients.
Almost 1 million people are vaccinated in Wales every year. Last winter, 70% of the over 65s took up the offer of a vaccine. The Welsh Government wants that figure to be 75%. For under 65s in medically at-risk groups, just 37% got the flu jab last year. The ambition is 75%, and public health officials admit there's work to do.
Nearly 1 million people got the flu vaccine last year, and 230,000 of those were in that at-risk category, so people with long-term health conditions. So it's an excellent form of protection to make sure that we reduce the chances of complications from flu.
Last year's flu season started early and continued through the winter. The message this winter is, if you're offered the flu vaccine, take it up and protect yourself.
Now, the Queen's Hotel is an historic building in the centre of Blaenau Ffestiniog, but in July it was destroyed by a fire. And now there's deep concern in the town about what will happen to such a landmark building. And our reporter Chris Dearden has been speaking to the woman who was running the hotel, who says she has now lost her home, her possessions and her job.
Saturday morning, 5th of July, the Queen's Hotel had opened as normal. Angie Clinton, the licensee, was out. But then someone across the road spotted a problem in the roof.
I had a phone call from my daughter, really distressed, shouting, "The Queen's is on fire, the Queen's is on fire." And at that point, we just assumed that, it was a false alarm, it was something minor. Didn't even for a moment think that it was something serious at that point.
12 weeks later, and Angie Clinton can only look at the place where she used to live from a distance. The Queen's isn't safe to go inside, and even if it were, the pub company which owned it has now sold it. She has no job to go back to.
We've lost everything. We've lost... The only thing I didn't lose was my car and the clothes I was wearing at the time. Everything I own, all the personal stuff, photographs from my past and childhood. We lost our jobs, our home, and our dream all in one day.
And not just Angie Clinton's dreams. Not long before the fire, her granddaughter had said she wanted to run the pub herself one day. Admiral Taverns, who used to own the Queen's, said it has supported Angie Clinton since the fire, but the building was so badly damaged it had no choice but to sell it.
My only hope now going forward is that the building that is such a prominent part of the town can be saved for everyone.
But that's going to cost a lot of money. Take one look at the building from above and you can see just how badly it's been damaged by the fire. What's not clear is who owns the building now. We've tried to find out, but had no answer. Community leaders are keen that the Queen's shouldn't be lost for good.
We know we're going into the winter, the weather will get worse. There are real concerns about what's going to happen to the fabric of the building, whether there are risks there. And if there isn't something done with it in the near future, it's only going to deteriorate.
Cyngor Gwynedd, the local authority, says it does know who the owners are and it's in contact with them to make sure the building is safe. What no one has heard yet is any details on what might happen to the building next, or what it might become in the long term.
Chris Dearden reporting there from Blaenau Ffestiniog. Now, caravan owners at a holiday park in Porthcawl say they're heartbroken after being told the site will close at the end of October. They have to sell or remove their static caravans from the Happy Valley Park or pay £1,000 to have them scrapped, as Stephen Fairclough reports.
Right, this is the pigsty.
Andrea's normally pristine caravan is full of boxes and bags as she packs up after 10 years at the Happy Valley site near Porthcawl, where she stays from spring until autumn every year.
Empty cupboards and empty drawers.
A month ago, Andrea, along with around 200 other caravan owners at Happy Valley, were told that this season would be the park's last. It would close at the end of October and they'd have to remove or scrap their caravans at their own cost by the end of February.
Come on. When I go home, I'll sit down and have a little cry. I'm devastated. I just want to... All this I don't want to do. I want to put it all back in its place. I tell you, we've lost about £25,000–30,000 with the van. Lost it, the furniture we've put into it. You know, the way we've made it our home has cost us thousands.
All of the caravan owners on the non-residential part of the site have been told to go and remove everything, including their caravans. Some have already been removed and others scrapped at the cost of around £1,000 to their owners, many of whom are angry.
The way they've gone about it has been terrible. The decision got 2 months left on the site itself, but they told us they'd given us until March to get rid of the caravans. But the only reason they get rid of the caravans, either scrap them or somebody take them.
The caravans on the park, which can be lived in all year round, are currently unaffected, but their residents are worried too. For the seasonal caravan owners, everyone says they'll miss their retreat by the sea and the community of the park, where many have lived from spring to autumn for decades.
There's a great community as well, everyone. You know, we made many friends here over the years, but now it's all gone now.
I've seen people in tears as they've driven off after packing up their caravans after many years here at Happy Valley. We've attempted to contact the owners of the site, LT Management Services, to comment on what the caravan owners have had to say, but as yet we've heard nothing back. Stephen Fairclough, BBC Wales Today, Porthcawl.
Some sport news now, and is Wales's top-flight netball team about to become, well, less Welsh? The Cardiff Dragons will now be known as just the Dragons and will split their matches between the Welsh capital and Liverpool. Well, Eleanor Rice is at their headquarters in Sophia Gardens, and Ellie, has this come as a bit of a surprise?
Well, it certainly seemed to be quite a shock this morning when the fixture list dropped. But actually, when you look at the league as a whole, perhaps not so much. Only 2 of the 8 sides play all of their home games at a single stadium. The rest, the other 6, play across 2 or 3 different cities. So for the newly named LexisNexis Dragons, that means they'll be playing here in Cardiff at the House of Sport and on the Albert Dock in Liverpool at the M&S Bank Arena. The other shock here, though, is that Wales's only top-flight side will now not bear the name of its capital city. It's hoped, perhaps, by some that could open up the side to support from people across Wales. Here's what my colleague Helen Vanna had to say about that.
It's a way of being more inclusive. That's what I've been told by numerous people within the organisation. And personally, I think it makes sense. There's only one Welsh team competing in the NSL Super League. So to drop the Cardiff name out of the Dragons, it makes perfect sense to represent Wales as a whole.
And so, Ellie, why has this change come about?
It looks to be all to do with funding, really, Jen. During the off-season over the summer, we understand players were told they may not have a team to return to should the Dragons not secure funding. The background to that, Wales Netball, the governing body, said earlier this year it had launched an urgent review turnaround plan following a comprehensive review of historical finances and governance. That saw the majority of the Dragons board stand down, as well as their head of performance. So that should give you an idea of the scale of the challenge that they were facing. I'm sure today there is a sense of relief from the players that they will have a side to return to. The Super Cup begins at the end of February, so plenty of time yet to see how these changes play out in practice.
OK, Ellie, thank you very much. Eleanor Rice there at Sophia Gardens for us. Now, next May, Wales will go to the polls to elect the 96 members of a newly expanded Senate. So, more politicians, but what do you want them to focus on? We'd like you to get in touch with the issues that matter to you. Here's Nick with the details.
It's a political milestone next year as we head into the Senate election. You'll be hearing plenty from the politicians. But what about you? What do you want them to be talking about? What are the issues that matter where you live? Well, we want you to tell us. We're calling it Your Voice, Your Vote. And we'd love to hear from you. To get in touch, go to the BBC Wales News website and you'll find all the information you need.
Yes, do get in touch. Right, there's a storm in the forecast, so let's get the details. Sue is here.
Jen, thanks very much. Well, after a quiet end to September, there's a big change, some wet and very windy weather on the way. Storm Amy, our first named storm of the season, will bring strong to severe gale force winds later Friday into Saturday. It will be wet and windy across Wales, but particularly further north and west, where the Met Office have a yellow weather warning for strong winds. Tonight, some dry, clear spells, but clouding over once again overnight. A few showers developing, some mist and fog patches forming, lows 9 to 14 Celsius. Now, tomorrow might start dry, but this front will move eastwards, bringing the first spell of wet and windy weather overnight into Friday. So tomorrow, some early brightness, but turning cloudier, and then outbreaks of rain will start to spread in from the southwest, moving northeastwards, strong southwesterly winds, highs between 16 Celsius in Powys and 19 in Cardiff. Tomorrow night, then, heavy rain pushing in from the west, strong southwesterly winds will pick up too, eventually clearing